Hi, this is Brian from Apple Now, and welcome to our Demystifying Change podcast. Here I have with me Marek Vodička. Welcome, Marek.
Hi, Brian. Thank you for welcoming me. Hi, everybody.
Marek's going to talk to us a little bit about his vibrant lifestyle and how he's changing IT stereotypes for the better, and how this has impacted his life and also the projects he's been around. So maybe, Marek, maybe a brief introduction to yourself. So what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
From the professional aspect, I'm a front-end developer working for one of the clients of Ablenio. But otherwise, like you mentioned before, there are also other things not related to work, which I'm doing regularly. Like, for example, I can't do this right now, but that's the thing I just remembered on is surfing. Yeah. It's like one of the most extreme ones.
I completely understand. Coming from Australia, surfing is obviously something I really like. But maybe on a day-to-day basis, so you're a developer, a project manager, scrum master, What are you?
I'm developer, front-end developer, more precisely.
Okay, perfect. So one of the things you wrote in your blog, which will be released at the same time as this podcast, is the idea that you want to change these IT stereotypes that you think you have in your mind. So what are these stereotypes and what are you doing to basically help change them?
It's not like I want to change them, just I would like to explain that they don't exist. Okay. At least for me. For somebody maybe they do, but for me not. So the question was how I'm doing this?
No, but the question is like, what are these stereotypes you're talking about? So what's the stereotype that you have in your mind that doesn't exist, let's say?
Well, one of the stronger experience I remember is when I was talking to some random girl and she asked me for what is my profession, and I told her I am a software developer, and she told me, so you don't have any friends and you are not going out. And it was before Corona, not now. So this I don't know, this one settled in my mind, and I always remember like how different can be the view on the such normal thing like a software developer is of different people.
Mm-hmm. So obviously I know a little bit about your lifestyle. So regarding this difference in the stereotype, so what are you doing to basically combat it? So what do you do on a, let's say before Corona even, what were you doing regularly?
I think regular thing is working out. It's one of the not that extreme ones. Also traveling was my passion and still is. And yeah, that's it. Let's continue.
So traveling, so you're surfing, you were doing lots of things in the sun, and I think you were working from many different places if I recall. You were trying to make time with the clients you work with to make sure that you can do this, right?
Yeah, I did this last year or even this year when I went to Canary Islands, which are islands part of Spain. And I went there just for holiday for 3 weeks, and then I had feeling like I would like to stay more and surf more. So I called to the managers in Ablenio, talked to the people from our client, and we discussed the whole thing. We realized that it's almost in the same time zone, and there's like nothing blocking us to co-work together from different time zones, and different places. So we arranged it, and it worked. The delivery was successful, and everybody was happy.
Fantastic. And one of the things I think you were talking about in the blog, or actually writing about in the blog, if I use my native English properly, is the idea that this lifestyle you have, this getting out, this working out, this surfing or whatever, basically you were talking about how it enables you to be, let's say, more creative and more impactful, and maybe think a different way. Maybe you can expand upon that, or when you've seen that happen.
Yeah, for me, it definitely works like that. It's also an example in my blog when I have a plan in near future that sometimes in a few months I'm gonna stop working and go on a trip or go to do some crazy thing, do some sport for one week with more concentration. It really gives me energy to focus on my work better. So I have this in mind. Yes, in 3 months I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna take a break. So now I want to do this as good as I can.
Great.
For example, like day-to-day work, like write unit tests, or just to try to be productive on a meeting and to discuss with the client and give them the best insights I can about the technological solutions.
Sure. So I think one of the things we were talking about in the pre-interview is this idea of, let's say, peripheral thinking. The idea that when you're working on a problem, going away from it and experience something else, like looking at the beach in Canary Islands or doing whatever, enables, like, say, more creative solutions. And it's been your experience that this is true, right? And
Yeah.
That's really cool. Maybe just to expand a little bit. So, how often have you, let's say, worked from a location outside of your home? Like you've been holidaying in certain places. I think you were even in Australia for some time working as well remotely. So maybe you can tell us about these experiences, and was it difficult to do? Was the client okay with it?
The clients were okay. If they weren't, basically I wouldn't do it. So
Very good answer.
so 100% of the clients were okay with that. I think I did it like 3 times in my life, among which 2 times were projects which were projects of clients of Abelneo, and 1 project was a total freelance project of myself for an Australian company. So that was even easier to arrange.
And if you were to provide, let's say, a little bit of advice from the developers out there that want to, let's say, change the status quo and perhaps make this stereotype no longer a stereotype, what would you suggest to them?
If they feel like they would like to shine this fact to the world, like the developers are not the ones who are just sitting at home and commenting games in the video on YouTube. So my advice would be to just take courage, even though it's not real advice because it's hard to do, easy to say, hard to do. But it was definitely beneficial for me when I actually did something I wanted to do, and I maybe in past thought I could not do it because there is work and I have some obligations and there is manager and he will expect me to deliver something until some time. Yeah, they do it, but basically this helps to all sides. When the things are discussed and the schedule is like beautified, schedule of work, then everything can go more smoother.
Did you see any challenges from working in, let's say, a more exotic location? So did you get distracted perhaps with the women walking along the beach or anything like that, or it was not like that?
Actually, I never worked from actual beach. I
Okay.
always found some quieter place, like restaurant or something. But yeah, these are usually I worked from some kind of office.
Some kind of office, yeah. And did you have any problems with time zones and things like that when you were working in different places?
When I did this one last time, like I said, it was just 1 hour difference, so there was no problem. Little bit, not problem, but an issue was to organize the surfing sessions because the water is not always the same in Canarias as well as in Australia. But in this case, I think we agreed with the client that there is some gap in the middle of the day where I'm not available to if there's a fire in the company, so I couldn't help them. But actually, it's not really needed from a developer to be on phone 100% time of the day. So I think it's not a problem. It's easy.
Sure. And have you had experience with a client that now they maybe refer to you differently or look at you differently because you're like this well-traveled individual, or like is there any difference in the relationship when you're working, let's say, in their offices versus, let's say, fully remote?
Difference is they have questions and they like to ask, like how was there and how to get there and what would you recommend over there. Yeah, I think that we have more topics to discuss, even though just to improve our soft relationships.
So it gives you maybe something to talk about, and perhaps when you're working in sales or business development as well, it would help you to have, like, say, other things outside of development to talk about, right?
Definitely. And I think the life is just one. There is no professional and private and secret and different lives. I like to look on my life like it's one thing with more aspects.
So you don't compartmentalize. Like you have one life and you have a lot of different things that make up your life.
I don't know what precisely this word means, but I'm assuming.
Yeah, compartmentalize is basically you have your work life, you have your personal life, and I think you're the ones who kind of like brings it all together in in something. So that's what I meant by that. I must apologize.
Yeah, you said what I said in a more smart way.
Yeah, but this is the first time today I've managed to do that. So look, I would maybe we can end on two terms that I'd love to know. So I think one of the key points you made was, having this vibrant lifestyle, having this time outside of your main office, perhaps enabled you to be more creative and more impactful. And you're also advising other people, if they feel so inclined, if they feel like doing this, they should do it and not be afraid. I'd be curious, just as a last thought, during this corona crisis, obviously the travel has been quite difficult actually. Have you seen any other restrictions that you didn't expect with respect to travel and this lifestyle that you would like fixed or bettered or not?
I didn't feel that restricted, to be honest. Like restriction when I can't go to bar after midnight, it's not really restriction for me.
Sure.
I'm saying this because this was the situation in Canarias a few months ago. So honestly, I didn't feel that much restricted.
Good. Okay, then the second point is, could you imagine a situation, so at Apple now we're all about change. So what my question would be, if you're managing a change remotely, let's say someone's in Canary Islands, someone's in Australia, do you think it can all work out in some way? Is the technology there? Is the things there? Or do you think everyone needs to be in the same office?
I think as long as there is internet connection and the motivation to do it, everything can be done. Yeah.
Very cool. So I want to thank you for your time today, Marek. You are living the life that I wish I led when I was your age, which I hope is I hope you're younger than me.
You did that in Australia.
Yeah, but okay. But I'd like to thank you for your time. I really like how you approached life with such, let's say, passion and such things like this. Guys who are listening, have a look and have a read of Marek's blog. It gives a good idea of what he's been doing in his creative aspects, on where he's traveled, some pictures of him in very different type of clothes all around the world. So I hope you enjoy it, and again, thanks for listening, guys. Thank you, Marek, for your time, and this has been the Demystifying Change podcast from Abonel. Thank you.
Thank you for all.